I had no clue when I married Lisa that I'd one day be orchestrating the most satisfying revenge of my life. I'm not a vengeful guy by nature. In fact, I'm the kind of person who avoids confrontation at all costs. But sometimes life throws you a curveball that demands more than forgiveness. Lisa and I had been together for 10 years, married for 7. We had a comfortable life in a quiet suburban neighborhood. I worked as a structural engineer, and Lisa had her dream job as an interior designer. On the surface, we were the perfect couple. Friends envied us. Neighbors invited us to every barbecue. But beneath the curated Instagram photos and holiday newsletters, cracks were forming. Cracks I didn't see until they split me wide open. It started subtly. She was spending more late nights at work. Her phone seemed glued to her hand, and she'd started wearing a particular perfume that I hadn't gifted her. I chalked it up to her career booming and didn't question it. Maybe I should have noticed sooner, but love makes you blind, and apparently stupid. The day I found out was unremarkable. It was a Tuesday. I came home early from work to surprise her with takeout from her favorite Thai place. Her car was in the driveway, but when I walked inside, the house was eerily quiet. That's when I heard muffled voices coming from our bedroom. My heart sank, but curiosity outweighed my denial. When I pushed the door open, it was like every cliché I'd ever heard about infidelity exploded into reality. Lisa was tangled in the sheets with some guy I didn't recognize. They froze, staring at me like deer caught in headlights. "Oh my God, Matt!" she shrieked, scrambling to cover herself. "This isn't what it looks like." Her words were so absurd I almost laughed. But the rage bubbling inside me was stronger than any sarcastic retort. The guy, a younger gym rat type, grabbed his clothes and bolted past me without a word. Lisa sat there tearfully trying to explain, but I couldn't hear a word she said. All I could think about was how many times she'd looked me in the eye and lied. I left the house that night and stayed with a buddy. Lisa called and texted relentlessly, begging for forgiveness, blaming the stress of her job, claiming it was a moment of weakness. I ignored her. How could I possibly forgive someone who'd ripped my heart out and set it on fire? For days, I wallowed in misery, replaying that scene in my head. My friend tried to console me, but nothing helped. That is, until he said, "Dude, you deserve better. Let her know you're not some doormat she can walk all over." That's when the idea took root. I didn't want to just end things quietly. I wanted Lisa to understand the magnitude of her betrayal. I wanted her to feel the shame and humiliation she'd inflicted on me. And so I devised a plan. Lisa had moved out temporarily, supposedly to give me space. What she didn't know was that I had no intention of taking her back. Instead, I threw myself into preparing for her return, or rather, ensuring she'd never want to come back. I started by hiring a landscaping company to clear out the lawn. They had no idea what I was planning, but they did an excellent job leveling the ground. Next, I reached out to a friend who owned a printing business. With his help, I ordered a massive banner, the kind used for outdoor advertising. It read, "Lisa, I hope your new boyfriend enjoys the house as much as you enjoyed him in our bed." Subtle? No. Effective? Absolutely. The banner was just the beginning. I knew Lisa would be coming by on Saturday to discuss our future, so I timed everything perfectly. Early that morning, I arranged the banner on the front lawn, weighed down so it wouldn't budge. Then, I set up a dozen lawn flamingos, each holding signs with some of her most ridiculous excuses. "It's not what it looks like. I was lonely, and we can work through this." Finally, for the piece de resistance, I printed a series of photos I'd found on her phone, thanks to a snooping session fueled by heartbreak. They weren't explicit, but they were damning selfies of her and gym rat guy in various romantic poses. I mounted them on stakes and placed them around the lawn like a twisted art exhibit. By the time I was done, the lawn looked like a carnival of infidelity. Neighbors peeked through their curtains, whispering and pointing. It was exactly the reaction I'd hoped for. When Lisa arrived that afternoon, her reaction was everything I dreamed of and more. She pulled up in her car, her face morphing from confusion to horror as she took in the scene. She stormed out of the car, tears already streaming down her face. "Matt, what the hell is this?" she screamed. I stepped out onto the porch, calm as a monk. Just a little farewell gift, Lisa, to commemorate our time together. This is humiliating. Take it down. Humiliating, I scoffed. You mean like walking in on my wife cheating on me in our bed? I shot back. You're lucky I didn't put up a billboard. She sobbed, pleading with me to stop, claiming I was being petty and cruel. But I didn't budge. The neighbors began stepping outside, pretending to water their plants or walk their dogs just to get a closer look. Lisa's humiliation was now public domain, and there was no escaping it. Finally, she broke. Fine, you win. I'll leave. Just please take this down. I shrugged. Not until the lease is up. Oh, and by the way, don't bother coming back for your stuff. It's already packed and waiting at your mom's. She stared at me, speechless, before turning and fleeing to her car. The tires screeched as she sped away, leaving me alone with my masterpiece. I stood there for a moment, soaking in the satisfaction of a plan perfectly executed. In the weeks that followed, Lisa tried reaching out a few more times. She sent long, apologetic emails, begged for counseling, even offered to sign a postnuptial agreement to make things right. But my heart was as unyielding as that banner on the lawn. Eventually, the divorce papers were signed, and Lisa faded into the background of my life. I heard through the grapevine that she and Gym Rat Guy didn't last. Apparently, she tried to pull the same stunt on him. Karma has a funny way of working, doesn't it? As for me, I moved on. I sold the house, started traveling, and even met someone new. Someone who valued honesty and loyalty as much as I did. But every now and then, I'd look back on that chaotic lawn and smile, knowing I'd stood up for myself in a way I never thought possible. Lisa's betrayal had been the darkest chapter of my life, but turning that pain into empowerment was the best decision I ever made. And if she ever drove past the house again, I hope she saw that lawn and remembered exactly why she'd never be welcomed back. So guys, if you all liked today's story, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon. Thank you for watching.